Hello, this is Lisa Prickett from the USDA NASS Southern Plains Regional Field Office based in Austin, Texas. This video is part of a cross-region collaborative training effort. In this presentation, I would like to take a few minutes to address issues surrounding specific data collection concerns tied to the crop year. I'll also share some reminders about checking your work and properly recording data on a completed paper questionnaire. This year, NASS is sending all operators a pre-survey postcard, which will explain the importance of the survey and ask for their cooperation, as an enumerator will be contacting them by phone to set up an interview to complete the survey. Before beginning data collection, develop an introduction you are comfortable using. In the introduction, include who you are, whom you represent, and the purpose of your contact. You should be familiar with the purpose of the survey and the ARMS program. Some operators may have already heard about the ARMS survey on the radio or television farm show broadcast. When making your introduction, remind the respondent the data they report will be kept strictly confidential. All information they provide will only be used to make state, regional, and national estimates. Be prepared to answer questions the respondent may have about the purpose of the survey and the uses of the data. Don't feel like you must try to complete the ARMS 2 interview on the first contact. Some operators will be willing to get the survey completed right away, but others might need time to organize their records before getting too far into the questionnaire. On your first contact, it may be enough to get the operator to agree to do the survey and perhaps go as far as the field selection. Then set up a separate time to complete the interview later. In the meanwhile, you can use the opportunity to complete any shorter matching surveys that the operator has been selected for, including milk production, ag yield, or ag labor. First, we need to get the operator to agree to do the survey. Hopefully, you can help the operator understand the importance of completing the survey, and once you have that cooperation, it will be a matter of doing what we can to use the time you have with the operator wisely and be as accommodating as possible in order to make sure the interview goes smoothly. Once the operator has agreed to complete the survey, we want to make sure that you are making this process go as smoothly as possible. First, you should let the operator know that the major sections of the survey are. Helping the operator know what they are getting into may help the operator realize what they need to do to prepare for the interview. Also mention that farm records, particularly records of fertilizer or pesticide applications, will be useful along with any notes or records of when field operations took place. As you begin the interview, you may want to verify the contact information on the label and verify the total target crop acres. Be sure to check the screening survey information form for possible discrepancies with historic data that may have been reported either during phase 1 or from another source. Remember that this form should indicate whether the operator completed the ARMS 1 in June, which could explain any discrepancies discovered. Next, work through the field selection process, which is discussed in the next presentation. Finally, work with the operator to collect what you can by phone. For those completing the PPR or short form, the easiest questions to answer may be from Section E on pest management practices, so it may be a good idea to complete those questions first before attempting to complete the fertilizer and chemical application sections. Please note that we do not need to have every question answered in order to have the report counted as a complete report. Obviously, we always must strive to obtain as much information as possible from the respondents, but if they are willing to perhaps provide the spray records but not answer the pest management practice questions, or are willing to answer the pest management practice questions but are hesitant about providing their spray records, that may be okay for our purposes. We want to get as much information as we can, but we also want to stay in the operator's good graces. When you do get ready to discuss the spray records, you will want to discuss with the operator the best way of getting that information. If there were very few products sprayed, which may be the case for some target crops, you might be able to collect this data over the phone. If the operator believes that it would be better to send you the spray records, we can work with that as well. but we may need to get creative on how we obtain them. Some operators may wish to mail or fax these hard copies of the forms, while others may want to send electronic copies of the records via email. A few respondents may be hiring custom applicators to do the spraying for them, in which case we will need to obtain their verbal consent to contact the custom applicator to get these records. How long should an interview take? The Office of Management and Budget has said they expect the PPCR to take on average 65 minutes to complete. The times are expected to vary though, and some interviews will take longer and others won't take long at all. In our experience, the interviews will go faster when the operator has farm records available and has taken the time to review the questions being asked. This may be enough encouragement for operators to prepare their records ahead of the interview. It is vital that Phase 2 questionnaires be completed for these operations, as this data will be the link between the agricultural resource use and farm financial conditions. All target producers who complete the PPCR will be sampled for ARMS 3. Please make sure you are reviewing your work. If you have any questions or concerns that, as you look back on the form, don't make sense, it would be better to talk to the operator sooner rather than later, while the interview is still fresh in both of your minds. Make sure that all of your entries are clear and easy to read as written in pencil in case something needs to be erased and data needs to be changed. Be sure to follow the specific instructions regarding how to answer yes or no questions or answering questions with none. Most of the yes or no questions now require you to enter a code 1 for yes and a code 3 for no. There are some questions you will see that have checkboxes where you would just check a box to say yes or no. For answers that are numeric in nature, where you might be entering information about how much of a particular quantity of something was applied or how many times something occurred during a growing season, you might say 0. Then you can put a dash in that cell. Of course, if the respondent doesn't know the answer or doesn't want to give it, please record DK for don't know or RF or refusal in the margins and move on. Here are a few more reminders about recording information on the paper form and conducting the interview. Be familiar with the content of the questionnaire. Consider working with a partner, perhaps your supervisor or another enumerator, to complete a practice interview over the phone. This should help you get used to the idea of completing this interview over the phone before you start calling actual respondents. Be aware of the skip instructions. There are some questions that, depending upon how a respondent answers, do not need to be asked. Don't forget to record your start time and end time in military time. Any notes about unusual situations should be recorded in the margins or could be put on a blank page, the back page, the comment sheet, or any other inserts. It is vital that all comments on your paper backup are transcribed into the CAPI system. Finally, keep a close eye on pre-printed decimal places. When recording crop acreage, always record to 1 decimal place or the nearest tenth of an acre. For example, 20 acres should be reported as 20.0 acres. Chemical application rates are recorded to 2 decimal places. So those would be recorded with 2 zeros after the decimal point if it is an exact number. So 2 pints to the acre would be recorded as 2.00 pints to the acre. Please make sure both yes and no responses are transcribed into CAPI. We saw a recurring issue last year where enumerators answered yes or no on paper, but only transcribed the yes response into CAPI. Blank does not mean no. We would like to avoid inadvertent -1s because the enumerator didn't indicate no in CAPI correctly. We hope you found some of this advice helpful as you progress through the survey. Thank you for watching and good luck with the survey.